The swim jig is absolutely slept on. In this video, I'm giving you the crash course I wish someone would have given me on day one, because once this bait finally clicked for me, it went from something I rarely tie on to something that never leaves my kayak. Now, why this thing absolutely gets destroyed. The swim jig doesn't hunt like a chatterbait. It doesn't flare and pulse like a spinnerbait. And honestly, I believe that's exactly why it works. It's subtle, it's clean, it slides through cover, and it looks natural. When fish have seen every loud, high vibration bait in the lake, this is one that still gets bit, especially in those pressured waters when everyone else is fishing the chatterbait or the spinnerbait. Now, to me, the swim jig is a finesse meets power. It's quiet, but it still lets you cover water. It's sneaky, but it still gets into the nastiest stuff where those fish live. It's like the silent assassin of moving baits. Now, for the longest time, I thought a swim jig had to be crawled, and it can be effective, especially in colder water, but one of the biggest unlocks for me was realizing that you can burn this, especially when fish are active, when they're feeding up or relating to grass edges. The faster retrieve can trigger those reaction bites. Second, the trailer matters more than you think. Early on, I was pairing it with the wrong stuff, and once I switched the paddle tail, like this guy right here, this is the Straight King Rage Swimmer, total game changer. That added body and that subtle thump gives it that true baitfish profile, and that's what gets them to commit. Third, stop casting this out and just hoping. This bait shines in high percentage ambush zones. Those grass lanes, docks, stumps, bluff walls, hydrilla tops, anywhere bass can pin bait, that's when you want to throw the swim jig. Now, the setup that I like is I like a 7.4. You can go up to a 7.6 rod, medium heavy power, fast action, and on the reel, like a 7:1 gear ratio. Because that speed, it matters, especially from a kayak, which I love to fish from. So when a bass eats it and runs at you, you gotta be able to catch up quick and stay connected. Now, the line, let's talk about that for a second. It really depends on where you're fishing, right? If I'm fishing straight fluorocarbon, I like that 17-pound fluoro. And of course, you're fishing heavy cover, you might wanna use, 30, 40-pound braid. I like using braid from time to time because you can actually skip it faster and you get a better hookup ratio because there's that less stretch. Now, the color and trailer selection. I like to keep my colors really simple. If I got clear water, I'm gonna be using that natural, like that white and green pumpkin, that bluegill. And then in stained water, I'm gonna look for that contrast, right? I'm looking for that black and blue and that chartreuse. But I wouldn't overthink it too much. Bass rely more on contrast, brightness, and motion than dialing in the exact shade. Now, for trailers, like I said, paddle tail, more thump, better for that stained water and covering water. Then I'll also throw it on a flap style creature bait, like a missile D-bomb. That's my favorite. The flap on that is absolutely fantastic, a lot of action. Now, of course, you wanna match the forage of your lake. So if you know there's a lot of bluegill in there, you wanna use that green pumpkin, chartreuse. And if you're in a shad lake and you know it, that white and silver is gonna be effective for you. Now, rigging tricks. You can do a variety of different things on this. You can trim the skirt so it just passes the hook bend, right? This is gonna allow your trailer to stand out. And another option, if you have a swim jig that has a really thick weed guard, you can trim that down as well to get a better hookup ratio. Also, this is key. You wanna make sure that your trailer is perfectly straight, right? If it's crooked, your jig can roll or track unnaturally, and so fish will follow it, but they won't commit because it looks unnatural. So the retrieves that get crushed, you can do a straight retrieve, simple and effective. You can do speed burst, right? A quick handle turn to mimic that fleeing bait. The one that's most effective for me is going to be the rod pops, right? You throw this out, pop, 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 all the way back to the boat. A lot of times that's when they absolutely nail it right on that fall. And then you can burn it, especially when those fish are active, especially around the grass. This can trigger those aggressive reaction bites. And also, with this bait, watch for a lot of last second hits. A lot of the times they will follow it all the way back to you, and when you reel it in quick, that triggers that reaction strike. So keep your eye on it, be prepared for those last minute strikes. Now, when it comes to the jig weights, it really depends on the depth that you're fishing, right? A 1/4 ounce if you're fishing like 3 to 5 feet, a 1/2 ounce if you're fishing 6 to 10 feet, and 3/4 ounce if you're fishing like 9 to 15 feet. So just adjust it on the depth, the cover, and how fast you want to fish it. You want it heavy enough to stay in the strike zone, but you also want it to look natural. So where you fish this, very versatile, right? Grass lines and holes, swim jig. Skip it under the docks, sparse lily pads, I love bouncing it through there. One of my favorite places to fish this is submerged timber and those stumps. I've had the most luck there, but of course you can do river eddies and bluff walls and creek mouths and the shallow flats with bait. And in wood, this thing absolutely destroys. So the swim jigs that get my money, I really like the Strike King Toward Grade swim jig. And then the trailers, once again, this is going to be the Strike King Rage Swimmer. KVD Magic Color is my go-to. Now, before you take off, this is important, especially if you're a kayak angler. There are more kayak anglers on the water right now than ever before, but unfortunately, the safety knowledge hasn't kept up. And that's exactly why we built KFAST, Kayak Fishing Advanced Safety Training. If you want to learn how to read conditions, understand risk, and make better decisions on the water so you can fish smarter and get home safe, you can go earn your certification today at kfast.co. Now, if you're looking to level up your bait game, start catching more fish, I've got exactly what you need. If you've never heard of the Yamatanuki, it's a cheat code. You can check out that video right there. We were just slamming them on them today. And if you haven't been able to figure out the Chatterbait, right there. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys out in the water.